This is my vow. All gods will die.
I'm so excited I'm finally able to do this. I have enough clips to make the rank 5 Gorr the God Butcher, my favorite champion of all time, ultimate showcase. So, without further ado, let's just get into it. So, the first fight against Winter Soldier. And these first 3 fights, I will be teaching you how to play Gorr. There are a bunch of different ways you can, or just rotations, I guess you could say, to play this champion. And we'll just start with the classic one. Build 2 Shadow Magic debuffs by using your 4th Light attack, and 2 of each Shadow Magic debuffs. Then you just spam double medium, 2 SP3, and then you drop it. And then you do a crap ton of damage, and it's really fun. So I'm about to throw this SP3 here, I just want a few extra debuffs, then we throw it, and Winter Soldier goes from 77 to, let's see, now he's down to 61, and he goes from 77 all the way to 27. That was 250 something thousand damage. And if they're not dead, you use a heavy attack, you get another SP3, and then it does so much overkill it's not even funny. Absolutely wiping out Winter Soldier there. So, for Battlegrounds, that's the rotation to use. Get 2 of each Shadow Magic debuff, spam double medium, eventually SP3. Second rotation is going to be a little different. I definitely think that more often than not, the only one you're going to be using is the first rotation. However, I have used both of the other ones I'm going to show you quite a few times. And so this one is going to be, we're going to spam SP1 a few times, and then get 3 of each buff. And the reason we're going to do it this way is this is the rotation to where if you wanted one massive SP3, which of course a 250k SP3 is already massive, but we're going to get a 400k one with this rotation. So I think we're going to do only 2 SP1s, and the 2 SP1s will give me 3 of each Shadow Magic buff, and then as I said, we're just going to double medium or a 3-hit combo, 2 SP3, and then completely nuke him from there. He's not going to have enough health to need another SP3. So I feel like this rotation is the one you want to use for Eternity of Pain type health pulls. That is where I'd specifically use this rotation. I don't think it's very useful anywhere other than Eternity of Pain, but if we ever get health pulls again around that size, or you find the Eternity of Pain fight like Eternity of Pain Penny, where you just really want to use Gorr for, then that's how you would do it. So, drop the SP3, he goes from 61, and he is going to die, as you'll see here. Yeah, he's dead. So, that was a 402k SP3. So yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. The third rotation, another one that obviously isn't used as much as the classic rotation, but for this one, we are going to get 2 of each debuff, just like we started in the first rotation, but instead of SP3, we're going to double medium into SP2. And what the double medium into SP2 does is it's going to give you Furies, which the main goal of using these Furies is to increase your damage over time debuff damage. So if you wanted to get all of your damage coming through the damage over time debuffs, this is how you would do it. What we're going to do here is spam a bunch of double mediums and then use our power gain buff to get to SP3. And then once we throw the SP3, we're going to finish her off by just spamming debuffs, which take very hard once you give them enough time and have those Furies. So the SP3 gets dropped, and it's going to deal 185,000 damage, and that obviously isn't enough to finish her off, but what will finish her off is the massive amounts of damage over time and the massive damage over time damage in general. And her health bar just goes down so fast once you can stack those debuffs. They tick so hard, it's really great. Again, I don't think that's better than the double SP3, however, it's always an option, and I will be using the SP2 later in the video. This fight, we have Battlegrounds Test Dummy Deadpool, and this is mainly just to show you the rotation you'd be using for a Battlegrounds fight. And I know this is kind of a lower health pool than you would in normal Battlegrounds fights, but usually with Gorr, 1 SP3 is all you need, even if it's a rank 5. So yeah. Unfortunately, Battlegrounds was off for 2 weeks, so I could not get any rank 5 Gorr Battlegrounds fights. However, I have a lot of rank 4 Gorr Battlegrounds fights. And the extra rank would not make much of a difference, because Gorr at rank 5 is not necessary. You can play this dude perfectly fine at rank 4. I just rank 5'd him because of how much I absolutely love him. And yeah, that's how I focus my rank ups. This is basically a rank 4 defender, and again, we just build 2 of each debuff, spam double medium, SP3, and they die. I don't know if you can hear my cat in the background, but he's being very loud right now. And on another note, yeah, there's not much to say, so I'm just going to stop talking until the next fight. Okay, now let's begin with some BG's fights, and the one we're going to start with is from the Sharpened Claws meta. The way the Sharpened Claws meta works is that you block, you gain 5 bleed debuffs, and if they have deep wounds, you're going to take a massive amount of damage. And it hurts. However, Gorr, he gains a regen every time he's bled, poisoned, or shocked, as long as he has the corresponding buff. Meaning, every time we parry this meta, we gain 10 regens, 5 from the node, and then 5 from the Deep Wounds Mastery, making Gorr nearly unkillable. The regen is so potent that it doesn't even matter that we don't have any bleed resistance. So that's great. Now this does get hindered by Despair quite a bit, however it's still not enough to keep him from finishing above 90%, as you're going to see here. So we just did normal Gorr things, and then throw the SP3, and then it's going to kill him. As I said, with Gorr, all you need is light attacks, double mediums, SP3, and basically everything is dead. So yeah. 61 seconds. Really solid. Not the fastest, but he's consistently at 60 or 70 seconds for basically everything. Now, Atuma. Don't ever use Gorr versus Atuma unless you are in this regen meta. I mean, the Sharpened Claws meta. Because that is the only way he can survive here. Because, obviously, Atuma, if you cannot counter him specifically, will suck. Because of the amounts of Thorns damage, which is just awful. So here, we are just doing a normal rotation. Some of these hits will be intentional just to test out the regen. The original goal was to finish full yellow bar, but instead I only get like 99% or something at the end of this fight, which is a shame that I couldn't get the yellow bar for content purposes, but it looks really cool, and it's still good enough to impress people. At least I'd hope so. This dude is running 3 out of 3 Despair, so the healing while the bleeds are on me is kind of rough, but when it isn't, yeah, you just saw what that health bar looked like. It's so stupid. Now, normally I would throw a lot more mediums before throwing the SP3, but again, just trying to test the regen. So this one's not going to do too much damage, but it is what it is. Not that big a deal since this is a friendly match anyway. I'm going to take a combo there, but it doesn't matter, as you'll see in the end. I'm going to block these Oh wait, I took an unblockable SP2 because I didn't realize the unblockable node triggered. I kind of forgot that node existed. Anyway, now we block, now we gain bleeds, now we gain regens. You know the deal by now. So, double medium, we'll just throw this SP2 here once we're ready to kill him, and then you see the regen. It's so unbelievably stupid. Unfortunately, I parried there, so this despair kind of ruined my life a little bit. But we finished 95%. It's not 99 like I originally thought it was, but still, kind of ridiculous. Now we have some Battlegrounds fights that do not involve the most ridiculous amounts of regen. First up is an Apocalypse. Apocalypse has one of the larger health pools in the game, so this is rank 4 Gorr versus rank 4 Apocalypse. If he can 1 SP3 a rank 4 APOC, it's going to be pretty fun. I started with a medium there, because I want to trigger APOC's bleed immunity before I stack up a bunch of bleeds and they just go away. So, getting that done immediately makes the damage a lot better, so I don't have a bunch of bleeds purified later in the fight when I actually need them. So this is a while ago. This was the long-distance relationship meta, so this feels so long ago now, but it's okay, because it's still a pretty cool fight to watch, and a good showing of how Gorr's damage in Battlegrounds works. So, we just bait these SP1s, and I don't know how to properly dex them, so I'm just blocking them, but it's fine. Now I have 32 debuff. We throw the SP3. Is it going to kill first, or just immediately? Do I need another SP3? Let's find out. It brought him 14%. So it didn't immediately kill him, but we kill him in one combo after because double medium, and yeah, those debuffs still tick hard. You don't need just the SP3 to deal damage. So, next up, Gorr versus Nimrod. This is not one of my favorite techs to take with Gorr because the armor ups is something that Gorr cannot deal with. The armor rating on the SP3 is going to be annoying. Also, cowardice and power drain from just throwing my specials is kind of annoying, but Gorr is still going to do a really good job here. So, same rotation. 4th light attacks. Double mediums. Then we throw the SP3. Ideally, when he's not in his Titan protocol. I don't remember if I do that or not in this fight, which protocol I throw the SP3 in, but ideally, you want to do it when he's in Blitz. And, this was a while ago. I don't know if I properly figured out how to get my maximum damage versus Nimrod, which would be to not throw it when he's in Titan. But we'll see what I do here, because this was still in my earlier Gorr days. So, I physically cannot dex the SP1, because I'm bad at this game. That is the worst part about fighting Gorr with Nimrod, probably, is that if you do get hit, and then he touches you, you get that shock debuff, and it kind of sucks, but, So, what I actually did in this fight is I did a lot more debuffs than I normally would try to go for, because those are actually going to tick him down a lot more than maybe just going for an SP3 with little or less debuffs would. So, next up is Overseer, and this fight is not the best for Gorr because you take retaliation damage when you would poison Overseer, which kind of sucks, but this is a really good showcase of the Undermine. The Undermine is an ability I haven't talked about yet, actually, and what Undermine does is that when the opponent would auto-block you, you go unblockable. So basically the auto-block triggers, but they don't actually block, so that's pretty cool. And this just works every time you have that Undermine active, and the only way you wouldn't have it active is if you didn't use your 4th light attack enough. And I might have done that here. Yeah, I did, because I just forgot about it. So that's a bit of a rip. But if I just threw that 4th light attack instead of doing a double medium a few double mediums ago, then there would have been no problem there. So now I know how to fight Overseer with Gorr a lot better. And yeah. Okay, so this is an Alliance War fight that I had a couple days ago. It's the only Alliance War fight I've ever taken with Gorr, ever. And I hope to get assigned more eventually, because I want to obviously make a bunch of Alliance War content in this dude if I can. But this is Penny Parker on Path 1. And the reason Gorr is good for this fight is because 1, Undermine, so that the auto block never triggers. And 2, personal space of regen doesn't matter when you have a bunch of poisons on the opponent, or in this case, since Penny is poison immune, a bunch of debuffs to fuel despair. So, the opponent is running recoils, but that wouldn't really matter because we just get to the SP3 and they're still dead, no matter if they're running recoils or not. So, there, I managed to get my Undermine back before that became a problem again, so yeah. And I didn't even throw the SP3 here because I didn't need it because of recoils, but if you just throw your SP3 there and they don't have recoils, it's over anyway. So, this fight is really, really fun. This is a Paradox node in Act 7.3.1, and what it does is increases your debuff duration for each Paradox you have. And Paradox, in this case, is gained when you well-timed block. And so what we're just going to do is farm those by parrying a bunch. And the input issues were really weird this match. So, yeah. I sped up the ramp up by 2x here because it just takes a while to get those well-timed blocks. But now that we have all the well-timed blocks, I'm going to show you how I ramped up. I just spammed a bunch of 4th light attacks and SP1s to get, I think I went for 4 of each debuff. And then after that, we're just going to spam double medium, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. So the reason I'm actually showing you this fight is just because I wanted to see how large I could physically get a rank 5 Gorr's SP3, and I figured this was it. I could actually probably replay the fight and get even more damage over time debuffs if I just wanted to replay it, but I just decided to stick with this. It is very, very possible that you could get a 1 million damage SP3 with these nodes, but I just didn't go for it. I just went for the normal stuff. Well, this isn't even normal. I can't really say that, but I just went for the debuffs that I had and didn't try to play extra aggressive and see if I could stack even more than I did. Which I don't know if that would even be possible because the damage over time debuffs might kill her before I get enough to make the SP3 do a million. But if I experimented enough, I'd actually be able to find out. I just didn't here. But whatever. You know, 700k SP3, I'd say that's good enough damage to not have to validate playing that fight any longer, you know? If you know what I mean. I don't know if what I just said makes any sense. But either way, the fight's over, and you can see from the biggest hit, it did 716,000 damage with 550 extra hit points. Okay, next up, this is 8.1.1, the Red Skull boss. And the nodes here are, I think there's poison vulnerability, but that doesn't really matter for Gorr's SP3 damage because the SP3 damage gains so much extra attack from each debuff that getting an extra 200% doesn't really do much because it doesn't scale that way like you might think it would. Basically, let's say each debuff gave 5% extra damage and you had just three debuffs, just hypothetically. The SP3 would deal 215% extra damage instead of like the how do I explain this? Instead of like the damage from all the debuffs and then multiplied that by 200. It doesn't work that way. It is the extra damage from poison vulnerability added instead of multiplied to the attack rating from the debuff count. Yeah, that was a very weird explanation I just gave there, but anyway, for the goals of this fight, we are going to get a bunch of shadow magic, in this case 3 of each, spam double medium, and kill him. So in this fight, I am running the MCoC synergy, and what that does is give me true damage when they have 15 or more debuffs on them. And it's not important at all. It only lets you just ignore those armor ups, which would make your SP3 hit a little less, but it's not necessary. As you can see, I had like 15 of each debuff, and that is going to cause the SP3 to deal 474,000 damage. 800k damage in 80 seconds. So that's fun. This is the 8 point, I think it's 825, I believe, Penny boss. And this fight is fun for Gorr because obviously Penny, no auto blocks exist. But what makes this fight actually a little annoying is that it has the node where when they dash at you, they purify their debuffs on them. I don't remember what it's called. Oh, it's Mighty Charge. That's what it's called. So instead of going for an SP3, since I know I can't stack enough debuffs without her dashing forward, I'm going to build up a bunch of shadow magic buffs and then spam a bunch of mediums and just kill her with damage over time while it's active. So it's kind of just going to be 5-hit combo Gorr, except a lot of 4-hit combos and a lot of 2-hit combos. Anyway, just basic attack Gorr is, I guess, the better way to put it. But this is the rotation 2, I think I'm using. I think this is the second rotation I showed you at the beginning of the video, where I get a bunch of shadow magic buffs and then do a bunch of double mediums before going for only 2 of each shadow magic and then SP3. So yeah, the reason I'm doing that rotation again is because those debuffs get purified, your SP3 is going to do nothing. So we're just going to rely on the debuffs while we have them instead of risking going for an SP3 and then them falling off before I want to throw it. And as you can see here though, they tick very hard while you have them, so it doesn't even matter too much. It's not going to be that big a damage sacrifice going for this rotation instead of another one. But I'm going to go for a Furies here, which I should have done earlier, I suspect. And I also made a mistake not getting an Undermine back, so she has a chance to auto-block here. And will she? She will not, maybe? She did at the very end, but it didn't matter. She's going to die right here. So, yeah, that was a pretty fun fight, especially without being able to throw an SP3. We killed her in 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Next is Labyrinth StarLord. And people asked me when I made a community post on what people wanted to see from Rank 5 Gorr, a few people said, do Abyss fights. And I would have loved to do Abyss fights. I would have. But I couldn't. And the reason for that is the Abysmal Enhancements. I think Abyssal Enhancements, Abysmal Enhancements. I don't know what they're called. I've never even completed Abyss before. The Abyss Enhancements on Tech Champs make it to where you get power stolen whenever the opponent, or I think it's whenever the opponent is struck 10 times under an armor up buff. And since Gorr has no way of getting rid of an armor up buff or no way to prevent the power steal, it would just have been a massive slog, and I don't even know if he could have beaten it. It would have kind of sucked. No, he could have beaten it. He could have, but I just didn't want to do it, if I'm being entirely honest with you. And it wouldn't have been anything noteworthy to be shown anyway. So for this fight, we are going to be stacking a bunch of Fury buffs. And the Fury buffs can be stressful to keep up because they are only 20 seconds, and you have to throw a special to refresh them. However, it is not that bad in Labyrinth, where StarLord has really short special attacks, and really just short animations in general. His heavy attack is quick, his SP1 and SP2 are quick, so it's not that hard. The strategy here is get your Furies from the SP2, SP1 if you need to refresh them, But as far as the managing light attacks and medium attacks, what I tended to do in this fight is get a bunch of light attacks, then a bunch of medium attacks, then a bunch of light attacks again, then a bunch of medium attacks again, and so on, to get a nice cycle of gaining the buffs, then placing the debuffs. Gaining the buffs, then placing the debuffs. You get it? So, that's basically the way you would do this fight. And I'm gonna stop talking here and let the rest of the fight play out, but my closing thoughts on this fight is that Gorr is not the perfect Labyrinth champion. However, he does do things decently fast. You're gonna see this 3.4 million health dies in about 4 minutes, which isn't bad. It really isn't. Especially when I'm not running recoils and he isn't necessarily built to take this content. So anyway, I'm gonna stop talking until the next fight, and I'll see you then. Okay, our final stop on this Gorr showcase is going to be 7.4 Superior Kang, one of my favorite bosses in the entire game. And I'm just gonna flat out say it, Gorr is the best possible counter for this. Now I know what you're thinking, why not just use Human Torch or Hercules, who have the damage to just completely nuke him faster? And yeah, they are gonna nuke him a lot faster. That is not the reason I think Gorr is so good here. The reason I think Gorr is so good here is because of a very strange interaction. And the interaction is that when Kang evades and does his counterattack, that triggers Gorr's regen, making him nearly unkillable. As you're going to see there, regen, or it might pop up later because I have 2 regens on me at the moment. Okay, so watch what's going to happen next time I do it. That counterattack triggered his regen. So if you ever get to really low percents, that regen is just going to fuel you right back up to 80% and around 80% because of how consistent it is. And you're going to see I'm messing up a lot because I'm very rusty on this fight. But every time I get low, I'm going to go right back to that 70-80% range once again. The regen is completely ridiculous when it's constantly being triggered like that. So, the best rotation I found for Gorr versus Superior Kang is to get one of each debuff, SP2, and then spam double medium while he's wounded. It is quite possible that there's a better rotation, but this is the one I had the most success with. And if he didn't have a damage cap, you would for sure be doing SP3s. It's a shame that he does. Maybe he even doesn't on SP3s. That might be it might be a thing that he doesn't have a damage cap on SP3s and I just don't even know it. Maybe I probably should have looked, but I didn't. But either way, Gorr is going to need to wound him usually 2 times for each, which is pretty average unless you're using, again, a Torch or Ultron or Herc Nuke. So it's not even something to shame him for. It's just pretty average for this fight if you're not completely nuking him, again. So there's not much to say about Kang, so I'm going to stop talking until we reach the next phase, where there will be some interesting strategies that I need to talk about, or just different strategies. So see you then. Okay, we've reached Kang's second phase, and the way that the second phase works is that when he counterattacks, it can be slowed down. Now, this isn't going to be too big a difference for Gorr. However, I just need to be more careful with my dashbacks. So that's really all I need to talk about for this phase. But for phase 3, it takes a lot more mental power to do this fight correctly. Phase 3, the phase where the fight gets a lot longer. So, how this phase works is that normally you want to trigger Kang's evade by doing either a stun, a intercept, a heavy counter, or a special counter. And in the first two phases, the only thing you can't do is repeat them twice. You can't go stun into stun, you can't do intercept into intercepts, you can't do heavy attack counter into heavy attack counter, and so on. But in the second phase, we can't do two of the counterattack triggers in a row. Meaning if I stun and then heavy attack like you see here, I can't do either of them. I can only do special counter or intercept. And that gets rather tough at times, especially when you're in the corner, where intercepting is quite difficult when you're in the corner, and baiting specials can be quite difficult in the corner because they want to be really aggressive with you with their basic attacks. So the only thing I need to do is be very wary of which counterattack triggers I have chosen, and then it's pretty much a breeze. So anyway, on to the next phase. And finally, Phase 4. For the 5 of you who are left in this video, I will commentate the rest of the fight. So, we stunned him, now we can't stun him again. And we heavy attacked, counter, now we can't heavy attack counter again. So what I need is an intercept, and I got a stupid light intercept there. But again, regen, gonna be really clutch. So now I can special counter, and once I special counter, that allows me to stun again. So I think I'm probably going to go for a parry here, or an intercept, one of those two. I went for a parry, now I can do that. So what I need to do now is intercept or heavy counter. I got the intercept, and now since he has that SP1, I want to bait it. And now that he throws it, it's at regular speed, so I don't have to worry about misdexing it, since regular speed is definitely the easiest one to dex. But I've gotten pretty decent at dexing the special attacks when he's in his other speeds, so it's not too big a deal. But now I'm at 9 charges, and I just need one more to finally rinse this guy down the drain. And bait the SP1, dex it, counter him, and yeah, then we go right back in. We're going to get 3 of each debuff, just like we do earlier. We now have bleed, we now have poison, we now have shock, we double medium, get 1 of each debuff, which allows us to have 4 furies, throw it, and then we spam double medium. 6 debuffs, 9 debuffs, 12 debuffs, 15 debuffs, 18 debuffs, 21 debuffs. And we stop there, we throw our SP2 just to dump our power so we don't get pushed to SP3 when we are ramping up for the next cycle. So now, we stun them, we can't do that now. We are going to bait the special, regular speed again. We got kind of lucky with the regular speeds, if I'm being honest, but it's not that bad. Again, I said I'm pretty decent at dexing them. Now we intercepted, so I need to counter heavy or stun. I went for the stun. I dex it. We get him to throw the SP2 here. I can counter it, so that's great, and I choose to. Now, now that I have 7 charges, I only need 3 more. I can't hit him there because I can't do the stun. Got the heavy attack counter. Now I need the special attack, or if not, I'll just go for the parry. And luckily, he didn't throw that special attack there. It's actually better for me that he didn't, because I couldn't counter it at that instance. But then I got that really nice looking light intercept, if I do say so myself, to get the last charge I needed. And now he is dead. And I just took a sigh of relief at this moment, because this was like my 3rd attempt. I always would find a way to somehow embarrassingly screw up. Even with that regen, I just played so bad in my first 2 attempts. Again, I was just getting a lot more used to fighting this dude, because it had been forever since 7.4 came out, it feels like. So, I tried to kill him with the SP3, but apparently you can't do that because you have to kill him with like 4 attacks at the end, which is really weird. So I wanted to kill him with the second hit of the heavy attack. I don't understand what the heck goes on with how you kill him in like 4 hits, and then I did 4 and it didn't. I wanted to make it flashy and kill him with that heavy attack, and I don't even know, man. Anyway, Spirit King's down, and that is the end of the showcase. Thank you to the 5 people who made it to the end. I'm so thankful for you guys watching. I'm so thankful for everyone who clicked on this video. I'm so thankful that I have the opportunity to own this rank 5 core and have this channel to show so much content on him. It's so fun just for me to talk about my favorite champions, and that's just something I do all the time on this channel. And I'm just so happy I got to make this, and I'm so glad you all get to see it. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.